Watch again. Lovely. Oops, that's on.
All good, Charlie?
1, 2, oh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Charlie King. I'm your Master of Ceremonies for today's event. I'd like to welcome you all to the 2021 graduation ceremony. Firstly, a little bit of housekeeping. In the event of an emergency or fire, please muster in the car park to the left. Toilets are located behind you, and a first aid tent is also located to the left should you require any assistance during today's proceedings. Shortly our academic procession will commence, but firstly I'd like to introduce singer-songwriter Lena Kelly, who will play during the academic procession. Lena Kelly is a Larrakia and Wadjugan descent. We'll leave it to you, Lena, take it away.
Deeper than anyone could try. Fingers, they paint secrets kept in the pouring rain. Gypsy, not afraid to dance in the morning light. A child who knows no king, not afraid to live
Ladies and gentlemen, Lena spent her childhood in the bush with her stockman father, where she learnt country American folk and blues music that would form an early found love of melody, voice and chords, and she went on to complete a degree in music and is currently mentoring Indigenous women in music. She's also expanding her production and writing skills with the plan to release music in the very near future. I think she's worth a round of applause, isn't she?
Thank you.
And whilst that was happening, the academic procession ended with the council academics and graduates all here and now seated. Thank you all. Good to see you all again. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Institute Council, I'd like to acknowledge the attendance of traditional owners, our sponsors and VIP guests, representatives from the public and private sector that are with us here today, as well as staff and students of the Institute, graduates and their family and friends. And to open these proceedings, ladies and gentlemen, the Institute Council and staff would like to recognise students who have passed on in 2020 and 2021 by observing a minute's silence. Would you please join me and think of those that have passed on? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. May they rest in peace. I'd now like to ask Deborah Dank, Acting Executive Dean, Faculty of Tertiary Education and Research, to do an acknowledgement of country. Just get out of your way.
Thank you. Thank you, Charlie. On behalf of all of us gathered today, I would like to acknowledge the amazing country that we are gathered on. I am Deb Dank. I am Gudanji Wakaya. I'm from the Barkly Tablelands here in the Northern Territory. My people, the same as all First Nations peoples, and the place that we are gathered today, have an amazingly long history of learning. That learning has sustained us for more than 60,000 years. So the tradition of learning and achievement and ways of knowing is not something that is new to any of us here today. As people at Batchelor Institute, we have been privileged to have shared the space of the Kunarakan Warai peoples. And that long history within the paperbark country, I think, has been an absolute privilege worthy of acknowledging. So the country around our institute has, I think, enabled us to study in a place where we feel safe, and we have been able to privilege that learning time. Like the amazing music we heard this morning, my history is also in stock camps. My dad did not have English until I took my non-Aboriginal husband home, and that was an interesting little exercise. So I have been privileged with a mother and a father who were both committed to enabling me to learn, and who did what they had to do to ensure that I got those opportunities. So to be able to be here today to acknowledge on behalf of all of us gathered is a truly, truly amazing time, and something that I'm very, very proud to be part of. I really want to just congratulate you all very, very quickly, but we'll get on now to the important part of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. We walk with great respect on the lands of the traditional owners. I'd like to now call upon Ms Pat Anderson, the Chair of the Batchelor Institute Council, to address all of the graduands.
Good afternoon, everybody. I too pay my respects to the Kanarakan and the Waray people on whose lands we meet today. Many of them I have grown up with and known most of my life. I better put my glasses on so I can see. So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, graduates, families, friends and colleagues. Today is a special occasion to celebrate our graduates' achievements, which will contribute greatly to our communities and, more importantly, perhaps our families, and which will continue to inspire future generations. Batchelor Institute is Australia's oldest First Nations tertiary education provider of training and research for Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and I am honoured to be here today as Council Chair of Batchelor Institute. We are here today still amidst the coronavirus pandemic that continues to have an impact on our students who mostly live in remote communities. The majority of you would have been affected last year when we suspended all on-campus face-to-face teachings in March 2020. The health, safety and well-being of our students, families and communities and staff has always been Batchelor Institute's highest priority. Although this has had a big impact on all of you, I congratulate and commend you for your resilience and commitment to quickly adapting to change, just like the many Batchelor Institute graduates before you, who were often your parents, uncles, aunts, grandparents even. We've been here for 40 years, so a few generations here. Graduates, when you graduate today, you will join the amazing, inspiring and formidable groups of First Nations peoples who make up the Batchelor Institute alumni. One of those graduates who we are privileged to have in our company today will be our guest speaker, Dr. Miriam Rose Ongamar Bowman AM. I know Miriam will highlight how important education is, and I want to graduates value, and I want you too, as well, graduates, to value your education and your achievements that you will celebrate at this ceremony. They are special, and you and your families should be all very proud, as we are proud of you today. Miriam also, because all our families seem to be connected, but Miriam was, when she was very young, a school teacher to one of my nieces and nephews when they lived at Daly River. I encourage you all to continue to pursue your aspirations in further training or study, so you may advance your careers or gain new skills to contribute and care for your families and your communities. Your decision to complete tertiary education will inspire younger generations to follow in your footsteps, and I encourage you all to instill a love of learning amongst your peers. Look at learning as a lifelong adventure, a lifelong journey. The Council of Batchelor Institute are proud of the work that has been achieved over the past 40 years. Most of Council, including myself, understand the needs of our students because we are Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. We know the difference between studying at Batchelor Institute compared to a mainstream TAFE college or university. When you become a student at Batchelor Institute, Is it safe? Okay, thank you. You have the support of your mob around you, which is important for your well-being when you're away from your communities. We really can't do without the support of our families and our loved ones. The Council of Batchelor Institute is committed to reimagining what Batchelor Institute's bright future might be. We have a solid foundation on which to build, and I was delighted to see the wonderful news 2 weeks ago about our 12 Maningrida-based Batchelor Institute graduates who accepted their Certificate 2 in construction and have stepped straight into jobs with Bawananga Aboriginal Corporation. I think that's what we started out 40 years ago, was to train our own peoples at home, where they live, to work in their communities and grow and develop. I think we're finally doing it. The graduates, who range from 19 to 50 years old, trained at home in Maningrida under the stewardship of Batchelor Institute's community-based vet lecturer, through undertaking practical training in their community. Students learnt with the support of their families and their peers at home. The graduates learned valuable on-the-job skills by building a shade structure for the local program Bright Futures women's group to work outdoors. They also used locally manufactured mud bricks to build a fire pit and a seating area. I'm sure the cost makes a huge difference, not only in the money, but the cost to the community in terms of having such a wonderful end to all of that training. This achievement highlights the importance of Batchelor Institute's commitments to offering culturally appropriate, relevant training that connects students to real jobs at home. Meaningful employment is the ultimate goal for vet students, and to have 12 construction graduates gain immediate employment in their community was phenomenal. We know from experience that these graduates will be role models and inspire friends and relatives to further their education as well, just like all of you graduands here today. Batchelor Institute's correction project, now in its 5th year, has also been having a positive effect. It aims to improve the education levels and employability of offenders across the Northern Territory and increase employability of prisoners on release by delivering a wide range of vet qualifications. This is a really, really important program. Another division delivering meaningful training is our conservation and land management team. The conservation and land management courses help support rangers to document sacred sites and preserve intergenerational knowledge on country. Without these records collected by rangers on country, knowledge that elders hold could be lost if it's not maintained and restored. There's also our health certificates and diplomas specific to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, providing a range of primary health care services to Aboriginal and or Torres Strait Islander clients. Our graduates often care for people in their community on country. This is what our families and communities want and need. Today, you will hear from other formidable First Nations Batchelor Institute alumni. Darren Braun, whose study has led him to become a leadership project officer with AMSANT, will also share some of his inspiring educational journey with you. Once again, I congratulate you all on your gift, on your resilience, your grit and your commitment as graduands at this Batchelor Institute graduation ceremony here today. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you very much. I'd now like, ladies and gentlemen, to call upon the Acting Chief Executive Officer, Professor Gareth Allison, to welcome the graduates.
Firstly, I'd like to pay my respects to the custodians of the land in which we are gathered on today, the Kingarakana and the Warai people. I'd like to acknowledge their elders, past, present and emerging, and pay tribute to their resilience as a people. I acknowledge the staff and students among us who are tied to these lands and thank them for giving us safe passage to live, work and study here. I'd like to also just especially acknowledge today Dr. Sue Stanton, our academic elder, who can't be here with us this afternoon as well, and for all that she does at Batchelor. Today is a very important day for all of us here at Batchelor Institute. For our graduates, This moment is a culmination of all of your hard work, determination, and commitment to reach your potential. It is truly a momentous occasion. For your family, friends, and communities, your achievements are a symbol of what can be attained through hard work and dedication, and they will be very proud of you. Graduates, I congratulate you and thank you for allowing us to be part of this very special moment in your lives and letting us guide and accompany you on your learning journey. Socrates, who was an ancient Greek philosopher many, many years ago, once said, "Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel." In other words, education is a lifelong journey. In getting to this point in your journey, you will have experienced many highs and lows. Perhaps there were days when you wondered why you were studying, maybe putting yourself into new situations, being away from home, studying late into the night whilst trying to manage all your other commitments might have seemed like a really bad choice. The journey will have been made more difficult for some of you because of the impact of COVID. Yet, you made the choices that have allowed you to graduate today. You persevered, and today we celebrate your choices, your journey, and your success. Today is a day of celebration. However, your journey will continue past today. I urge you to use your education to make an impact. Be a role model for your family, friends, and communities. Continue to learn and grow. We are very proud of you, and we look forward to seeing the legacy that you create as Batchelor Institute graduates of 2021. Thank you.
Professor Allison, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd now like to call upon the keynote speaker for today's ceremony, Dr. Miriam Rose Ungamia Bowman AM. Dr. Miriam Rose Ungaman Bowman AM, an Aboriginal elder and renowned artist, activist, writer and public speaker. Miriam Rose was the Territory's first qualified Aboriginal teacher. As an art consultant for the Department of Education, she advocated strongly for the inclusion of visual art as part of every child's education. And I think I've been advised that Miriam Rose actually graduated from the Batchelor Institute. In 2013, Miriam Rose established the Miriam Rose Foundation to bridge the divide between Aboriginal culture and mainstream society, driving reconciliation at a grassroots level. Through her professional and creative life, she has remained dedicated to maintaining the cultural independence of her people. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please welcome Dr. Miriam Rose Ungamia Bowman AM.
Thank you for inviting me here today. It's been on and off. Emmanuel, you listening? I've eventually made it. It was on and off. Thank you, Charlie, for welcoming me. And the councillors that are sitting in front, out of all of you, I only see 4. And other distinguished guests. I'd also like to acknowledge family from here, Kungarkan and Warai. They were trying to correct me to how to say it in the kitchen before. And I'm saying Warai, and they said, no, not like that. You gotta say them this way. What? They're countrymen for me. This is how I say it. Yeah. For some strange reason, the government had put the Stewart Highway straight bang in the middle of the Northern Territory. And the people on the western side of the highway, they're all family. starting from Larrakia mob, Balluin mob, the in-between places like the Warai and the Kungarakan, and then Daly, Wade, and then you go to Catherine, and you turn west along the Vic Highway to the Kimberleys, Songline Way. So I acknowledge family from this region. And I'd like to congratulate this they're not students anymore, they graduated, the graduates for completing their course. And there's countrymen in amongst you that are sitting here in front of me. It's not easy. I've been through what you've gone through. I started studying in the 60s with Batchelor College, and it was at Comilda College before it come and started setting up this campus for us and you. I completed my course at Comilda where in the 70s, 71? And I started working, and that's when what Charlie was saying before, the announcement came in saying that I was a fully fledged teacher after I completed my course. And then I started working with the Catholic system as a teacher, and then eventually as a principal at the community school at Nauyu, Daly River. And I'm trying to retire from UMOB, run away and hide, you know. But you know, keep fine about me, because might be UMOB got a camera on me. Anyways, congratulations. I know it's not easy. But then again, like UMOB here graduating today, when they asks me to upgrade on my training, and then I come back and did a couple of years back here in the 80s and graduated here and had a ceremony similar to yours you're having today. So well done. You know, we have a lot of interruptions in our communities, unrest, sorry business, ceremony, and all that sort of thing, you know, wet season, dry season. And there are times when it's a struggle to continue with your studies. And I think you've achieved the goal that you were aiming for in life. I hope whatever you've graduated for, I mean, Charlie did say, rangers and health workers, you're very important people with what I think Pat was saying, that by recording things that you come across in your duty of what you've chosen to be as in health workers and rangers. It's important because you savvy that we're losing a lot of our old people too. So it's up to us to continue to keep records of those sacred stories, sacred places. And we're going to act like white pola now, Palanders, Guardians, in the sense that they say to me, how come you were teaching about all the kids painting? And I say, it's a creative way of our children painting the story that had been passed on by us and other elders. and they own that story. Balanders, Gadias, they've got a long history of recording things, and they write whatever they want to keep. They're better than us in writing it. We're better than them in illustrating it and acting it out in our songs and dances. But look, with all the qualifications we get, we can be on par with them as well. And that's what education is. And it's important for the little people that are here with us today, with their families, that are supporting you in what you've achieved. You're the role model for them. Thank you. Yeah, with that update, they wanted me to come back and update in my qualification, and it was when Deakin University and Batchelor College were working jointly together, and I come back and did those courses and got a Bachelor of Arts in Education from Deakin, and I continued on with them. Got a Bachelor of Education and my Master's. And I think it was Deborah was saying that I got my honorary doctorate from Charles Darwin. I'd like to say thank you again for inviting me. That little girl that's sitting with me there, she's my sister's granddaughter. But Blackfellow Way, I'm her nana too. She lives with me. I'm making her practice but wearing but that hat. But she can come here too and be like you, Mob. I'll wear the gown and you wear the hat, I'm telling him. And she's really happy to do that. Thank you for inviting me. And congratulations. And I know you're going to make your families proud of you too when you go back to your community. Okay? God bless you. All the best.
Dr. Miriam Rose Ungamir Bowman, AM, your speaker, keynote speaker today. Ladies and gentlemen, we do need to move on, and I'd like to now call upon the Acting Chief Executive Officer, Professor Gareth Allison, to come back to the microphone to read out the testimonial that was submitted in support of the conferral of the award, the Doctor of the Institute, Honomus Corso, to Professor Peter Buckskin. Thank you.
All right. After due consideration by the Council of the Batchelor Institute of Indigenous Tertiary Education, it has been determined that Professor Peter Buckskin should be awarded the honorary degree of Doctor of the Institute honoris causa. Throughout his career, Peter Buckskin, a Naranga, is that how I say that? Yep. From the Yorke Peninsula region of South Australia, has been engaged in a wide range of areas related to the advancement and welfare of Aboriginal people. Primarily, Peter is an educator, and his work within education is driven by a passion and the unrelenting pursuit of excellence in educational outcomes for Aboriginal people in Australia. Professor Buckskin has a wealth of knowledge and expertise and is an acknowledged leader in the field of First Nations education in both Australia and internationally. Reflecting his endless contribution and commitment to Aboriginal education, Professor Buckskin is renowned not only in Australia but internationally. During his career, Professor Buckskin has worked as a school teacher, and a superintendent of schools. Peter served for more than a decade as a senior officer at state and federal levels, including as a ministerial advisor and in the Australian Government's Senior Executive Service in the portfolios of education and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander affairs. Professor Buckskin also served with distinction in the Territory education sector. Peter retired from the University of South Australia as the Dean of Aboriginal Engagement and Strategic Projects, having also been the Dean of Indigenous Scholarship, Engagement and Research. In addition to these important roles, Professor Buckskin has also been an executive member of the World Indigenous Network of Higher Education Consortium, the National Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Higher Education Consortium, and a member of the Australian Research Council Advisory. Peter also served as a commissioner on the Australian Commission to UNESCO. Professor Buckskin is currently chair of the South Australian Aboriginal Education and Training Consultative Council, co-chair of Reconciliation South Australia, and an ambassador for White Ribbon. Throughout his career, Professor Buckskin has been recognised for his expertise and exemplary service through the awarding of a number of prestigious awards. In 2001, Peter received the Australian Government Public Service Medal. In 2003, Professor Buckskin was awarded the Frank G. Claassen Award for leadership and contribution to teacher education from the International Council on Education for Teaching. In 2005, he received the Deadly Award for his outstanding contribution to Aboriginal education, and in 2007 was elected a Fellow of the Australian College of Educators. In 2009, Peter was awarded a UNESCO Chapter Award for his contribution to education and reconciliation. In the 2020 South Australian NAIDOC Awards, Professor Buckskin was recognised with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Professor Buckskin's knowledge, expertise and wisdom has been more recently recognised in his appointment to the Senior Advisory Group tasked with advising the Australian Government on The Voice. In March 2020, he was appointed as the co-chair of the critical third tier of this process, the local and regional co-design group, to ensure that all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have a voice in this important element in Australia's history. Chairperson, in recognition of his outstanding contribution to the welfare and advancement of First Nations people of Australia, and in particular to the quality, participation and equity of their education, I present to you for the award of the degree of Doctor of the Institute, honoris causa, Dr. Peter Buckskin.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'll hear from Dr. Peter Buckskin.
Thank you very much, everybody. And firstly, can I acknowledge country and bring my respects from my Narungga Nation, people from the York Peninsula, and to say how pleased and proud I am to walk on your country and again visit the many friends that I've made over a number of years. I'd really like to acknowledge Dr. Sue Stanton, and I'm so sad that she's not here today. I was all excited to see her name on the program because we go back many, many years in the development of the Aboriginal education fight. and we continue to still do that. And so to see her play a leadership role here at Batchelor College, I'm very pleased. So Dr. Miriam Rose, thank you for your keynote address. I really respect you over many years. I met you way back in the 70s. So I'm honoured to receive this doctoral degree in recognition of my contribution to Aboriginal education policy and programs. But you, Miriam, have made much more, I think, of an in-depth cultural contribution in language from your strong cultural background. When I was as a young teacher student in the 70s, I learned very much about Batchelor College and the opportunities it was pursuing for Aboriginal people living in remote communities, in learning and research. Initially in teacher education, which is where Miriam graduated as one of the very first teachers. In the 70s, there was less than 100 of us that were professionally trained teachers across this nation. And I'm really pleased to say, with the leadership of people like Dr. Miriam Rose, we have over nearly 3,000 plus teachers working in education systems today, unfortunately not in schools. So it's really good to see Batchelor College really stretch out itself and its offerings to be much more diverse across a range of disciplines such as health and wellbeing, conservation and land management. And I said it was in my first teaching appointment that when I met at Noongar College, at Christian Brothers College in '79, that I was very fortunate to meet Miriam Rose and for the first time to hear one of our teachers speak so strong in her language. And it saddened me that I couldn't speak my language, but I was so impressed to see someone with a commitment to cultural knowledge, with a deep commitment to more culturally responsive pedagogies in the way that we teach and the way that we research in education. And that I'm so honoured that I'm sharing today this graduation ceremony to hear her keynote speech. Again, a very inspiring message for us all. Can I say, graduates, Batchelor has made a significant contribution across the Northern Territory and Australia indeed. Batchelor has been a pioneer in challenging the Western education system, the culturally arrogant education system that have marginalised us for far too long. And Batchelor is at the forefront of positioning us to move to be a lead in that particular space. So I congratulate the work that you continue to do. Batchelor is now recognised in providing its two-way philosophy. This is so culturally significant, and it makes you leaders in the world for Indigenous nations when we're trying to educate our own people about who we are and strengthen our identity. So you are very fortunate to belong to an institution that only just theorises about two-way education, but practices it through the appointment of its Indigenous staff, to the way that it attracts and engages students and takes you to your completion. So today is indeed a real privilege in terms of your learning journey that will continue on in years ahead. You are a privileged cohort of Aboriginal people. There's not too many of us in the First Nations communities that have a tertiary education. So you are joining a very privileged group. And so and I know that you probably really appreciate that. But I'm asking you that with that wonderful knowledge built on your cultural identity and knowledge, that you become the change makers of tomorrow. As Miriam Rose said, we're getting a tad older. I've retired. Pat's kind of retired, but as I said to Miriam, we never retire, because it's always a privilege to continually give back to our community, because we know what our community's given to us and what our families have given to us. So it's really important that we live up to those expectations of our parents and grandparents. And I know that you can do that to be really important role models for your communities and family. I said, after all, you're graduated from a deadly tertiary institution that is built on your cultural knowledge and sense of identity. at the risk of getting a tad emotional, when I remember graduating in 1979, I was really blessed to have my mother and my grandfather being present, who travelled across from South Australia, first times out of their lands, the Narungga lands, to the University of Edith Cowan, where I graduated, and they saw me receive my award, one of the less than 5 graduates in teacher education in that particular year. Because they experienced so many difficult challenges over their lives, that they gave me the strength to become something that they were working really hard for us to do, and that us to be able to deliver and be role models for our younger siblings and our families, where we were able to improve, that we were able to enjoy a lifestyle that all other Australians enjoyed. Because as we know, in the 3/4 of the 1st century, we weren't citizens of this nation. We had family members, and we all shared this, that were forcibly removed from their families because people thought they were better off living outside in the white Western world. Where they were being assimilated and not allowed to learn their language or be enculturated into their natural family. But despite this, my grandparents and mother continually worked hard to ensure that the children that they were able to have very close to them were developing the skills and to have the resilience to look to the future. And they saw education as a very important enabler to do that. So I say to you people all here today, as we know, we're blackfellas. Family's important. Family's number one. And if you haven't got family around you and you don't give back to family, well then you need something more to learn about us and yourself as an Indigenous person. That's what I'm saying. We're very privileged to have our families support us over the years to get to where we are. And I want to acknowledge the tremendous support that my late wife gave me and my sister, Lorraine. And the family is here today with me. My son's travelled with me from Adelaide, and my older sister's children, daughter and son, are here with me today with their children. I'm very fortunate. So I was lucky to join an education movement in the 70s where we had heroes. Heroes such as Dr. Miriam Rose. And dare I say, heroes like Dr. She blushes around a lot, Pat Anderson. You're so privileged to have a leader of this institution that is so highly respected in the tertiary education sector. You have graduated to become global citizens, and global citizens of the First Nations family, where there's over 60 million of us around the world. And I've visited many internationally, the Indigenous people in the Sami lands, South America, Canada, and the United States and the Pacific. So you can use this certificate that you're receiving today as a key to open the door to be a lifelong learner and continually to be able to contribute and to build your resilience and to continue to ensure that the first Australians, and that's who we are, don't continue to be the last Australians in receiving a decent go. And that the Australian reconciliation agenda becomes more than talk, but provides practical ways of moving this country forward so that we as the first Australians can realise all our aspirations and goals, which includes our recognition in Australia's Constitution, and that's ensuring that we have, again, that Indigenous voice. So congratulations, graduate. You're looking pretty deadly and colourful up this way, because you're going to contribute to a fair go for all, and more importantly, a fair go for your mob, our mob. Thank you very much again for this honour.
Thank you, Professor Allison, Ms Anderson and Dr Buckskin. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now call upon the Batchelor Institute Council Chair, Ms Pat Anderson, to present the academic awards to respective graduands. I'll also call up Acting Executive Dean, Higher Education and Research, Mrs Deborah Dank, to present candidates to the Batchelor Institute's Chair of Council for the conferral of the high degrees or higher degrees by Research Awards. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie. I'd firstly like to offer my deepest congratulations to Dr Buckskin, and a very small story. Back in the 1970s, my mum had decided she couldn't teach me anymore. I'd finished primary school. She knew that I had to go off to high school, so my dad and my mum decided we'd move to Mount Isa. My mum made a phone call to find out what this high school business was about. She got on to Peter Buckskin. She came, when I got home from school, she said, "There's another school that you can go to after high school." "How do you know this, Mum?" "I spoke to a fellow called Peter Buckskin and he talked to me about it." So thank you, Peter, and congratulations. On behalf of Associate Professor Catherine Gilby, I have a little message to read. And Dr. Gilby says, "I am sorry that I am not there with you to celebrate your achievements. It is always a proud occasion for Batchelor Institute to honour all your success, and it's a very proud moment for the graduate school to have yet another PhD graduation to join our alumni. I want to say a personal congratulations to Dr. Stuart Bugg for all your hard work and persistence. I am so happy to see you graduate, and I wish you all the best as you move into the wonderful world of academia. Congratulations, Jola, and all the graduates for your hard work, which is now paid off. Class of 2021, you did it. With sincere love and congratulations from Associate Professor Gilby. I'd like to read to you some of what our newest doctor has produced in her very important academic work. As part of the role of Batchelor Institute, we must continue to strive, and as Dr. Buckskin reminded us, to fight for the rights of Aboriginal knowledge. We have an amazing leader in that, in Dr. Sue Stanton. We've also been surrounded by the knowledge of our elders, such as Dr. Miriam Bowman. So the title of the doctorate is Shades of Identity, the Challenges of Claiming Aboriginal Identity Later in Life. And you will all be aware that we have recently celebrated, remembered Sorry Day, Reconciliation Week, Mabo Day is coming up. And the 27th of May, alluded to by Dr. Buckskin, the time of the referendum. So this important work continues the important academic tradition of Bachelor PhD graduates. I read the abstract. This thesis stages a critical engagement with historical and contemporary systems of representations of Aboriginality, examining the politics and aesthetics of those systems and the implications of current identity debates. Analysis was developed using a mixed method approach, drawing on autobiographical data, Indigenous standpoint theory to develop comparative analysis, deployment of selected post-colonial theories of race, and cultural identity to interrogate those dominant systems of representation. Engagement with theoretical concepts of whiteness and blackness, to consider the implications for fair-skinned Aboriginal identity in the 2000s. Engagement with a selected range of cross-cultural work in order to deepen analysis of the complexities confronting post-colonialist Aboriginal identities. Each chapter is anchored by selected creative work, other forms of representation that amplify a critical, culturally specific perspective on those mainstream systems of representation which constitute the core work of each chapter. The theoretical and creative works are an integrated part of the respective chapters and operate in critical dialogue. That is, the artworks and the creative writing function to provide an Aboriginal lens on the politics and aesthetics of those mainstream concepts of representation under scrutiny, as they also interrogate and disrupt those non-Aboriginal ways of knowing and defining. I would like to welcome our most recent PhD graduate, Dr. Jola Stewart-Bugg, to accept her degree. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Dank. I'd now like to call upon the Dean of VET, Mr. Michael Hamilton, to present candidates to the Batchelor Institute's Chair of Council for the conferral of Batchelor Institute VET Awards. Thank you.
Graduands, it's go time. Look, we're all gathered here today just to acknowledge the hard work of all the graduands, those that are present and those that couldn't make it as well. Just before I go on to the conferral of awards, I do want to acknowledge the traditional owners on the lands on which we've gathered here today, and to also recognise the traditional owners of the very many lands in which our graduands, their families and friends, our dignitaries have all originated from to participate in this event today. So we're going to move on to the conferral of awards, and we're going to issue the certificates which our students have worked so very, very hard for. And let's face it, the last 12 months has been pretty hard yakka. And these people have worked so hard, and the commitment and resilience they've shown is just extraordinary. But just to reiterate on some of the points that Dr. Rose and Dr. Buckskin mentioned before, what I can't present on a piece of paper today is the achievements that you guys have done so much over and above the academia and the qualifications that you've earned. And, you know, the pride that we can see in your families and your friends, and the inspiration that you guys are to the little eyes that are here today and the young people. And that's not just the ones that are here today, but also the ones back in community. I'm going to read out, in order of the various awards across many industry sectors, the graduates that are present today. I do apologise in advance. If I do pronounce your name wrong, let me know and I'll re-pronounce it, because I really do want to acknowledge the hard work that you guys have put in to earn your award. First award is for the Diploma of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Primary Healthcare Practice. And Elizabeth Coombs. Joshua Sells. The next qualification to be conferred is in Diploma of Early Childhood Education and Care, and it's Belina Jackson. The next qualification I'm going to confer awards for is for the Certificate 4 in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Primary Healthcare Practice. And the first recipient will be Darren Braun. As Darren accepts his award, I would like to also acknowledge his success at the NT Training Awards, which he was the winner. Vet Student of the Year for the Northern Territory. Elizabeth Brown. Mr. Luke Ellis. Elijah Jacobs. Is that right? Hope I said that right. Shanika King. Isaiah King, I've lost my spot. Isaiah Lee. Sorry, mate. Lachlan Madden. Mr. Peter Palancio. Kiara Peacock. Sarah Kwong. Mr. Clinton Washington. The next category I would like to introduce is the Certificate 3 in Business. Sinead Spicer Heaslip. Very good. The next category I'd like to introduce is the Certificate 3 in Community Services. Renuga Chandra Sagaran. don't know if I said that right. Yeah. Emma Mackenzie Craig. Tiffany Gray. As these awards are presented, I just wanted to acknowledge that many of these recipients are actually young mums and have been able to study as well as care for very young children, and I want to compliment them on that. Yeah. Jacqueline Jones-Dooley. Jasmine Madden. Tanisha Madden. Chelsea McNair. Whitty Pope. Letitia Redsell. And Nolisha Young. Great work. The next category I would like to introduce have completed Certificate 3 in Early Childhood Education and Care. Audrey Lee. The next category I'd like to introduce is Certificate 3 in Screen and Media. Alma Enosa. The next category I'd like to introduce have completed Certificate 2 in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Primary Health Care. Marissa Durkay. Mr. Jeffrey Ganamba. The next category I'd like to introduce have completed a Certificate 2 in Business. Candice McGuinness. The next category I'd like to introduce have completed a Certificate 2 in Conservation and Land Management. Aaron Green. Teresa Lemon. Travis Maloney. Wesley Shields. Wesley will also be receiving a Certificate 1 in Conservation Land Management as well. Good stuff. Sheila White. Well done. The next category to be presented, Certificate 2 in Resources and Infrastructure Work Preparation. Charles Allen. Teresa Berber. Timothy Berber. Quentin Charlie. Roderick Harney. Bernie Lewis. David Mardy. Victor Moffat. Charlene Maureen. Brendan Armstrong. And Camish Rogers. Camish Rogers. The final category that will be conferred today is Certificate 1 in Conservation Land Management. Sharon Jamaran. Andrew Liddy. That concludes the conferral of awards for the VET division. I genuinely wish all of the graduates all the best and hope to see you back here at Batchelor Institute. Onwards and upwards. Cheers.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton, and thank you, Ms. Anderson. And a big congratulations to you all. Look forward to seeing you out there applying your trade. Hope it all works for you. Thank you so much. Chair of the Council and members, the ceremony is almost complete, but it's also important to remember the people that this graduation celebrates, these being the graduates. Chair of Council, on behalf of the students who have graduated today, the students' response this year will be provided by Mr. Darren Braun, a graduate in the Certificate 4 in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Primary Healthcare Practice. Mr. Braun was also the 2020 Vocational Student of the Year, winner at the Northern Territory Training Awards, and a finalist on the national stage of the Australian Training Awards in the same year. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Darren Braun.
Congratulations, everyone. That's a great achievement for all of us, I think, this year, considering, what happened with COVID and stuff. So congratulations again to all our mob here graduating today. I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we meet today, and thank Batchelor Institute as well, as it was mentioned throughout and echoed throughout today that, Batchelor is a real special place for us mob to come together and, learn together, share and experience, and then go away, in our chosen careers, pathways. So, completing the Certificate 4 in primary healthcare practice, we all have our challenges, but I guess, with the guidance of our lecturers and the people that we meet in the classroom, the staff here at Batchelor itself, really nurtures your pathway through and getting you, over the end of the line in completing your chosen field of certificate. What I really want to highlight today is, the significance of the Aboriginal health practitioner. We come from a long line of legacies, from Mrs. Abbott to Mr. Little. They were our first cultural healers, and then we evolved into the community Aboriginal health worker, and then now, we're on a national board, being registered Aboriginal health practitioners. So I really wanted just to highlight that, of the legacy and history that we all come from, and, to keep going with whatever chosen field you choose to go into. Because the AHP is an evolving space, and I think, there's a lot of opportunity for us to grow and develop more in that area. Yeah, so talking about the Aboriginal health practitioner, just highlighting this year is a 10-year anniversary of AMSAN's Health Summit Forum that they held 10 years ago. And it celebrated the great work across, the Northern Territory that Aboriginal health workers and Aboriginal health practitioners have done. Again, acknowledging, our trailblazers that, have laid out the foundation and paths before us. So I just really wanted to highlight that today. Yeah, so that's it. Congratulations to everyone, and I'll just leave it there. I keep it short and sweet. I think I've did enough public speaking for the last year, so yeah, I'll just leave it there. So congratulations, everyone. Thanks everyone for attending today. Yeah, and no doubt you'll be seeing all of us around in our chosen fields, or wherever we may end up. So thank you.
Wonderful achievement, Darren. Congratulations. Now I'd like to call upon the Acting Chief Executive Officer, Professor Gareth Allison, to provide a special acknowledgement.
Thank you, Charlie. First, before I move on to the special acknowledgement, I'd just like to thank all our staff who are here today have been involved in the graduation committee and put in a lot of really hard work to make today come together. So thank you. As some of you may be aware, our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Charlie King, OAM, is an Australian sports commentator, an Indigenous icon, an award-winning family violence campaigner, a youth worker of more than 20 years, and a supporter of Batchelor Institute. Mr. King has been the Master of Ceremonies at 2 previous Batchelor Campus graduation ceremonies in 2018 and 2019, with this being the 3rd in 2021, and has always done so by volunteering his valuable time to make our ceremonies as impactful as they are. In recognition of Charlie and his contribution to the Institute, we'd like to present him with a gift so that he may know that his contributions have and are sincerely appreciated. So on behalf of the Institute, please accept this gift with all of our gratitude. Thank you.
Caught me there, but thank you so much. I must say the joy for me to come here is to watch all of you, after all the hard work, dedication, commitment you've put in to get to where you are today, to see you walk up and accept that certificate. So that's enough for me, I think. And I must tell you, I sit around the phone about the middle of the year waiting for the call from Batchelor Institute. The phone rings and I ring and say hello, and it's my boss, and I say, what do you want? Then he rings me back and he says, you're a bit snappy there. I said, I thought you were someone more special. Thank you so much. It really is a pleasure to come down here and see. I wish I'd have brought my daughter down to let her watch you people stand before us and get those wonderful awards. Thank you. We're now at the end of the ceremony. Thank you. So we're now at the end of the ceremony, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to invite everyone to join us in cutting and enjoying the graduation cake. I would now like to ask the Institute Council to lead the academic procession from the ceremony grounds. And Lena Kelly will again play for you all. Thank you for attending today, and please drive home safely. Thank you.
I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright blessed day, the dark sacred night, and I think to myself, wonderful. Stars shining bright above you. Night breezes seem to whisper, I love you. Birds singing in the sycamore tree. Dream on, little dream on me. Say nighty night and kiss me. Just hold me tight and tell me you miss me. While I'm alone and blue as can be. Dream on, little dream on me. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear. Still craving your kiss. I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear. Just saying these sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. While I'm alone and blue as can be. Dream on, little dream on me. Say nighty night and kiss me. Just hold me tight and tell me you miss me. While I'm alone and blue as can be. Dream on, little dream of me. Stars fading, but I linger on, dear. Still craving your kiss. I'm longing to linger till dawn, dear. Just saying these sweet dreams to sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, wherever they be, dream a little dream of me. There's a bird at my window. He sings me melodies of you. I watch the bellini kiss the earth. I don't mind if it flies first. sweet melodies of you. Thank you.